The biggest threat to clarity, of course, lies in Senator John Thune. Today, we're going to break that down because there is a lot that could be looming very quickly. Before we get into it, I do want to thank our sponsor, and this is a special offer for you guys. OKX is running an exclusive affiliate offer where you can earn up to $500 in XRP rewards just by hitting a few simple milestones. Step 1, Tier 1, you can complete the KYC. You get $10 in XRP. If you go to step 2, which is $100 on a deposit, you get another $40. Then you can bump that deposit and trade volume of just $1,000 and you grab an additional $100 in XRP. Best of all, for the heavy hitters out there, if you deposit and trade 10 grand, you can unlock a massive $350 XRP reward. This stacks onto all of this. So boom, you get up to $500 max earning, and it's paid directly out in XRP. So click the link down below. You guys are not going to miss this one. It is an awesome one. Let's just get right into it. I want to look at the days right now, guys. This is what we have available left to get this done. 13 days, and some of those are, they're not going to be in of course, Congress during that. So this continues to put a lot of pressure on the market. Right now, literally, as we're recording, it has dumped down to 32. So it's literally minute by minute with new information. Almost every hour, we're starting to see something happening from one senator to the next. And of course, this all boils down to a handful of things that are going on within the Democrats and also the Republicans for that matter. This, of course, goes into Ruben Gallegos. This is a Democrat who has been on the fence. They got it through the Senate when it came out of committee, but he has been on the fence of being able to make this a yes vote. And as you can see, their statements are whatever piece of, Republicans sent back to us. It was not a serious effort. However, he left the door open with that last statement. Gallego also said they're going to send back a counter proposal before the bill reaches the Senate floor. Now, that's a very key statement because that means it's going to the Senate floor. So the likelihood is, what does this thing look like when it actually does go to the Senate floor? Other points, if you look at this right here, this, of course, is Majority Leader Thune saying that the Clarity Act won't likely pass the Senate before August. Now, granted, that's going to be the case because of the timing, and I'll show you that because really early August is kind of the window that may open up here. And he goes on and he says, I would like to get at least clarity started. So they are in the process to see where the votes are. So they're probably going to float this new context of language coming in from the Democrats that will, of course, will play into this. Now, I want to go to a clip here because this will get into what President Trump is trying to do to navigate some of this. Remember, he's putting pressure on now the Congress to kind of get the job done. Take a look.
Mike Johnson and Congress have done a great job, but we're having a hard time in the Senate. The Senate, what they're doing is it's just not right. It's like the Senate is a place that you send things when you want them to die. We can't do this, and we're not going to take this any longer. Trying to be really nice. Look, what they should do, very simple. A lot of you don't know about filibuster. They should terminate the filibuster and approve everything. Because you're going to have a stoppage. And I'm not a big crier. I don't think you want to see me cry, Everybody call John Thune at the Senate. He's the leader of the Republican Party, and tell him to get this stuff approved.
All right. And to Trump's point, he is talking about the guy who literally does get these votes. He's the guy that's going out trying to make the compromises work. So when you look at this article, this kind of goes on the back and forth between Thune and of course, the president. And he, of course, puts it right back into the White House, which is ironic. White House should get on the phone, lock in the votes needed instead of pointing fingers. I think really the reality is that's your job. That's what Congress is set for. That's what a leader is designed to do. The White House isn't in the lawmaking business, of course, and I think that's the issue that we're facing right now. Further into this is Patrick Witt. Now, Patrick Witt is in a position where he's talking, remember, he's talking to a lot of different lawmakers right now. So he's getting a little bit different print and I think read from where the market really is. Listen to what he said on this.
A bit perplexed by Leader Thune's comments there. But we are still very confident that this will move forward for a vote. I guess technically he is factually correct that this would not pass the Senate floor before August, the calendar month. If he's talking about the Senate recess, there's that first week of August that the Senate is in session. So I wouldn't count it out. Perhaps he's hearing from some folks that maybe he's not as optimistic. I'm having a lot of conversations of my own, and I'm slightly more optimistic that we can move this forward and get the necessary votes to advance the bill.
You look at what Witt is saying, and then you could kind of compare what Kristen Smith, we just had her on the show the other day. And she kind of echoes that point, and she simply says, hey, it doesn't reflect the current state of play. There's a clear path to pass the Clarity Act before the recess on August 7th. So it goes back to that August 7th days. So here was a tweet put out by Anthony Scaramucci, kind of gives you a scorecard here. And if you look at this, the Republicans are setting at 51 yes right now, 2 no's. You've got the Dems coming in at 2 yes and 45 no's. We need 60. So right now they're standing on 53 votes as it is right now, unless we sway a Republican coming in. So you can see the list right there, Thune, Lummis, Kramer, et cetera, that are pretty much yeses. The likely yeses that we think we could sway could be Josh Hawley. He would be a critical one. And then, of course, you get into this issue right here, which is the Democrats. These are the ones that really matter, and that is going to be Catherine Cortez Masto. We've talked about that a lot. Booker, Hickenlooper, and even Mark Warner. All of those, if those were potential, those were kind of on the bubble. I think Gillibrand is going to end up being a yes. So there, it looks like there is a path here if there are some key concessions. That is the concern I have right now, is that there could be some key concessions here that I'm not necessarily in love with. Just so you guys know, if you want to go over to Stand with Crypto, you can, of course, put out notifications to your own senators and let them know how you feel. So what we did, it's very easy. Just jump over there, email your senator. It's going to fill out the information for you. I got Jamie Dimon sending his information over to Ashley Moody and Rick Scott, but it even goes into the issue of what to say. So it puts it all in there for you. You guys can do this right now. So if you haven't gone over to Stand with Crypto, do that right now. Standwithcrypto.org and email your senator. That's the next step for you guys in the community. One other point I want to kind of focus on, and I'll kind of showcase. I've got this kind of zoomed in for you guys right now. So here we are in July. And essentially what you're looking at is, let me kind of walk you through this. The House in session is kind of that pink number. If you guys are listening on the podcast, we'll kind of help you look at that. That is when they are in session. The Senate in session is the light blue. And then, of course, you have the House and Senate with the dark blue, okay, on the blend. So right now we're looking at mostly just the Senate in session, which is the week we're in right now, and next week. That is what is so critical right now of getting this done. The week that is in question is the week of August 3rd through the 7th. That's where the possibility lies. Now, remember that the House, because the material change could come back from the Senate that is real in this copy, the material change is going to push it back to the House. So if you look at the House calendar, back to the calendar here, in September, there are 3 days that the House could potentially be in to get this done and put a rubber stamp on, which I think is what would happen if it comes out of the Senate and through, because I'm assuming we are going to see the House starting to push and move on this once we get movement in August, if in fact all of this comes together. So with all of this going on, you've got Thune, who is also having difficulty getting the continuing resolution passed as well. That, of course, gets into what is brewing right now, which potentially could be a government shutdown. So you throw that into the mix, it starts to complicate things because it will suck up time in the Senate. This, of course, changes the whole landscape going forward. And you kind of see the government shutdown still holding at about a 41% chance. So it's likely if they don't get things done. You saw, of course, Mike Johnson trying to press on this, but it's going to have to end up there. One other thing that is happening is Lindsey Graham is set to be honored next week as well. And I think, probably Lindsey Graham would probably say, let's get this done. But this is going to be another issue that would probably take another day out of work days for the Senate to get this kind of completed. So there's a lot pushing right now that could really start to put a damper on getting this through. Meanwhile, you've got the Transparency Alliance, which is now growing to 70 participants. These guys are all getting together to essentially get a token transparency framework, which will be essentially the new benchmark for disclosure around these kinds of projects. And Blockworks does a good job in breaking this down because it goes through independent projects out there, kind of gives you the disclosure completion level. You'll notice right here, let's say, for instance, we'll go to BAT right there. It'll say partial, gives you a little bit of information of where the issues are. This one is on SEX and DEX agreements and deals. Also, all of this will get into an issue with clarity because everything that's on this list, essentially, for the most part, needs clarity to get things going. This kind of sets up the token holders' rights framework. Think of it like if you're holding a stock. If you're holding a stock, you have certain rights. That's the kind of scenario that we are facing. I think when you look at altcoins in general, the utility factor will also play into this. So you're going to see the opportunity here for, like this token transparency framework, to really enable a lot of these projects to let everyone out there that's invested in them to understand exactly what's available, whether it's token earning, whether it's certain rights that you would gain as a token holder. All of that, of course, gets enabled through clarity. So it is a huge, huge step. Now, there's a few projects out there that are good examples of this. Let me go over to DeFi Llama. So if you compare the two biggest moneymakers over on Solana, we'll go in, I'll zoom in on that. That, of course, is Pump and also Collector Crypt. These, of course, get into a situation where they have an opportunity to be able to really benefit from this. And of course, Collector Crypt is a good example of that. Let me go to a clip of their CEO. He explains why this matters so much, because you can't essentially boost a token without clarity. Take a look.
The token right now is for entertainment purposes only. There's a lot of things that I would say, if there were kind of a rule book given to us by the SEC and by the US government, one, it has to be credible, it has to be safe, custodied in the right way for it to be an actual asset. And right now it's not, because we don't have rules on how to do that. Two, we would love to be able to also say, well, Collector Crypt is generating $4 or $5 million in net profit. I would love to be able to say, hey, this is how we're going to take this money and, add value to the token from this, but I can't say that. I can't do any of these things, which also means that we would love to say that the token owns all of the assets that are in the Collector Crypt ownership umbrella. And right now that's around $13 or $14 million worth of trading cards. And then, I will say this in a very careful way. I can neither confirm nor deny that we are taking some more of that profit and directly buying back the token.
Those are the barriers that a lot of entrepreneurs in this space face.
I agree with everything you've said. And, I have a lot of people coming to me for advice as well, saying, hey, I'd like to launch a token. I want to do it just like you guys did. And I say, please don't do that.
This is the barrier of innovation that is facing the industry right now. And if clarity doesn't go through, this is just one small example of a collector community. And if you look at just Collector Crypt, the token, this is why we have continued to see this fall over the last few months. And I think this is the issue right now. We are facing this around all sorts of really high quality projects that unfortunately are at the whim of what's going to happen within clarity. But hey, let's go to some big projects. And then of course that would be Ripple. They continue to push money into major companies. Nota Bean is a good example. This is another strategic investment from Ripple. And this isn't just a company that is out there in other countries. We're talking about a major company here in the United States. And when you look at them, they're headquartered in New York. This company, of course, gets into regulated on-chain transactions. You're talking about institutional level. This talks about 280 plus customers, global banks, fintechs, et cetera. This is real business, guys, all happening right now. If you look at the DeFi side, now you've got Uniswap. This, of course, is launching permission pools there. This is kind of a new standard that's going to bring permission assets, the AMM, essentially compliance. So this is going to open up a lot of opportunity. This is also in collaboration with even Securitize, which we obviously know now is a publicly traded company. That is the challenge that we are dealing with. They can never really access public markets unless we see clarity go through. So again, another closed wall for innovation around these kinds of projects that are out there. So you can see, guys, this is innovation essentially being thwarted by the US government. This is innovation that most likely will lead all financial markets globally and worldwide for the rest of the next 5 decades. That's the kind of impact this Clarity Act has. So it's going to be a big one right now. We're going to be following this really closely, so stay tuned. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.